Welcome to today's episode of Your Vibe Tribe. Hi, I'm your host, Eliana. If you're new here, please make sure to go like, follow, and subscribe so you guys never miss an episode. Today's episode is part two to all the questions you should be asking yourself. So there is a part one already posted. So if you haven't listened to that one, go listen to that one before you watch this video. These are all the questions that you should be asking yourself so that you can live a clear and intentional life. These questions are here to really help you self discover who you really are and really dig deep within you and figure out who you are, what you want, and where you're going. So, these questions that I'm about to bring up are really centered around self reflection and growth. There are three really important and powerful questions that I think you should ask yourself to get you in that more clear and intentional mindset. So, if you've been feeling like you're lost, you don't know where you're going, maybe you have goals, but you don't even really know if you should be doing them, listen in because these are going to help you out. So, this is a great question. And this question is for the people that, for some reason, you go through something in life, you go through this traumatic event, you know it happened, you're aware that it happened to you, you go through it, you're in the trenches, you recover, and then you make the same decisions to get you right back in that space. It's crazy. Like, what's the saying? Insanity is literally doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But this question is maybe going to help bring a little bit more clarity around that. So I want you to ask yourself, what has been the significant experiences or turning points in my life, and what did I learn from them? This is such a good question because, first of all, how many times have you really sat there and reflected on these decisions that you made, or like things that you've gone through and what led up to that point? And like, there's just so many things I can tell you, even in my personal life. I think my first two experiences living on my own, I did not save. Like, I'm telling you, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was making like 40,000 a year, and I lived with a roommate. I definitely could have saved $100 a month, but I barely was saving anything just because I was going out, I was partying, I was drinking, I was spending money on clothes, money that I did not have. And my priorities were just a mess. So it really took me a long time living on my own and then moving in with my partner, realizing like, oh my gosh, like my spending habits and my priorities are just not in line. And I keep getting in these situations where I have no money. I keep getting myself into these situations where I don't have the money to pay for things that come up, like emergencies, like a flat tire or my car got towed, just things like that, things that come up in life sometimes, right? And so it took me a long time to learn from those mistakes and finally realize, okay, what do I need to change here to not get myself back into into this mess and into this situation? And then I realized, Eliana, you need to start saving. Every check that you get, you should be putting a percentage away and creating a savings account, an emergency fund, so that when these issues or accidents happen, I have where to pull from. I have a fund, I have an emergency fund, I have a backfall to protect me from getting into these really horrible situations, these very stressful situations. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of us are so in it, right? We're already in this mess that we forget to think about, well, what did I do to get myself here? There's a small fraction of things in life that do happen, and tragic things and tragedies do happen. But the large majority of your life is unfolding based on your decisions and your actions that you took to get you there. So I challenge you to ask yourself, what are the things that I've been into? What are the really tough moments of my life and what led up to it? You can take that information and do with it what you will, but what I recommend is that you take that information so that you don't end up there again. Second question I want you to ask yourself is, how do I handle failure, success, and change? This is such a juicy question. I love it so much. How do you handle failure, success, and change? And I'm telling you, this is such a big one. For me, it definitely helped me learn a lot more about myself and to help then make little changes to how I react to those things. For example, failure. I used to get so upset at myself. And I used to really look at failure as like failure. Like, I am just worthless. I just can't believe that I didn't do what I said I was going to do, or I didn't meet the expectations that I had set up for myself. And I started to change the way that I looked at these failures. And same thing with success, and same thing with change. Like with success, I realized that for me, I almost never think that my successes are enough. And that's something that I've realized on my own, that when I do have successes in life, I'm not very satisfied by it. I think I am more now. I've worked on that to really let myself celebrate the small wins and really sit with that and try to unpack how I feel in that moment when I reach a milestone or where I reach a goal, and to celebrate it, but keep moving forward. And I think if you unpack those things, there's a lot of things that you could be working on and how you look at success, how you look at failure. And I'll talk about that more in depth later on in this podcast. Tips to kind of help you change your mindset around those two big things, because how you treat failure, how you treat success, it is such a crucial and fundamental aspect in really furthering your mindset and really improving that and going after your goals and dreams. And so I'll unpack that further, but definitely ask yourself those questions. I think you'd be very surprised and enlightened by what you put down. Also, how do you handle change? That's such a big one. I think change is something a lot of you have a hard time with. I know I definitely had a hard time with change. And I've really done a lot of work over the years to try and be more flexible. I am still trying to be more flexible and open to change in life and open to change in dynamics and relationships and personalities and work. So that's another aspect. But I think diving in and figuring out how you respond to change might also bring you a lot of really great insights about who you are and different things that you could be improving on in that area. All right, so last question that I'm going to leave you with that I think you should ask yourself. What habits or behaviors do I want to change to become a better version of myself? And I think this really goes back to that self reflection, right? And really understanding your weaknesses and your strengths, right? Figuring out, okay, I'm good at this. I feel like I have this down pat, but all these other aspects and little pesky habits are still creeping in, and they're really deterring me from reaching that next level of my goals or unlocking a better version of myself. I know for me, there's been a lot of habits that have come out in my relationship. Like your bad habits come out, your behaviors come out a lot because there's another person, almost like a mirror reflecting what you're doing. My grandma actually has this saying that she says all the time. She says, espejito, espejito. It just means mirror, mirror. And it's almost kind of like the theory that your partner is a mirror to yourself. So sometimes the things that we criticize about our partners are things that are actually happening, and behaviors and habits we see within us that make us mad. And so we pick them out on our partners, but they're actually things that we are dealing with ourselves. So I think being really in tune with yourself is asking yourself, what am I currently doing? What are my behaviors? What are my habits that I can change to be a better version of myself? So that's it for today's episode. Short, sweet, to the point. And I hope that these questions really bring you one step closer to living that more intentional and clear life. And as always, if you do anything, do it with love, passion, and conviction. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.